If we are live right now. I believe we are live. Let's just take a look and make sure that the audio and the video is accurate. Okay, cool. I think we are definitely all right. Good. Let's get started. So I just want to really take this chance to do a very different set of videos, and most importantly is I always believe that there's not always 100% successes in what we do. Correct. And even we ourselves, even with so much research work, data-driven approach, and our access into all the information, the facts, and all the necessary updates, potentially we still will make mistake. Okay, because why? Because the economy is very uncertain and things change too fast, or perhaps you might be looking at the wrong parameters, and that is the reason why many homeowners and busy professionals do make mistakes. Down to three reasons. One, lack of time to really dive deeper into the understanding of property, to research based on what they want. And the second is the lack of understanding of what the property market is about, where Singapore property market is heading to. So you lack the information, you lack the actual facts, and a lot of times when we are doing many people who are doing research, it's really based on the very surface. You look at the newspapers, you look at social medias, and you see where the hype is, and you just move forward. And the third thing that I usually saw in a lot of homeowners and busy professionals is the lack of access into real data. So many of us, we are using our emotions to purchase property, which is nothing wrong. But today, I really want to kind of share with you all that even with all this research and knowledge and experience, you can still make mistakes. Okay, so something that I learned over the years since 2009, ever since I started on this journey, was that all the successes you can learn from them. You can see and go, oh, they have done so well in their property journey. But I can share with you the one thing that in my business that I learned the most is actually those who have made mistakes. After consulting so many hundreds and of homeowners, we learn a lot from what they have done wrongly, and we kind of picked it up and put it back into our frameworks, our criterias, our systems, to avoid them, so that you or us ourselves, when we are doing investments or buying a property for own stay, we can avoid them systematically and be aware that, hey, these are the issues that could arise if we take A or B path. So why not we step back, go through it, understand what are the consequences, what potentially will lead us to before we make a decision. So how many of you are here because you sometimes also fall into this kind of traps and making mistakes in your property journey? All right, so if this is your first time joining us, my name is Coach Edmund, and I do regular property videos, property education reviews, and at the same time to share with you what is the most current and relevant strategies that we as busy professionals and homeowners should undertake to navigate in this very noisy real estate market. Okay, so if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. That will really help me a lot. And if there are any topics that you find that you really want to kind of learn more, whether it's a property tour, maybe a certain project that you kind of interested in and you want us to help you with, or perhaps there are certain case studies that you'd like us to share with you more in very specific locations or specific areas or estates, do just comment in the bottom so that we can actually compile some of all this to do necessary videos for you. So one of the key things that I always believe is, let us continue to elevate our knowledge and keep our knowledge relevant in today's marketplace and not using what happened 10 years ago. So today I really want to kind of use this video to shout out and share with every one of you that even me myself, with so many years of experience, with a lot of data-driven approach, there are still mistakes that I make in my own property journey that I really want to review today with every one of you so you can avoid it totally. And in this video, I will also be sharing with you how we pick property, Okay, how did we pick property then? And what are the things that we did and did not do? So when you're on your own property journey, maybe that is also something that you want to take note of before you begin. All right, so let me just let's kick started on this. Give me a second. Let me just make sure that we are all in place. All right, so you should be able to see the screen here as well. All right, so I think one of the key, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but a very commonality that when we advise a lot of homeowners is that we tend to look at all these items before we even purchase a property. So these are very traditional kind of information, criteria and guidelines. We look at how much we have, and then we just go and purchase the property. So we look at budget, how much do we have, and when we are looking at location, very likely is based on where you are most familiar with. Perhaps you have grown up there, or maybe your parents are staying there, or your good friends or relatives are staying nearby, and that's where you choose that location. And many of us, we always want the best. We want the biggest floor plate, the highest floor, unblocked view, and we also want multiple good schools around us and the MRT. So all these are very, if you ask me, it's like a dream list. Okay, whenever we look at property, we always have a set of dream lists that we want the best of everything. And that is a very common mentality from everybody buying property. So one of the key things that I believe that after so many years, that we are looking at some of all these parameters. Okay, we are looking at all these parameters, even freehold, leasehold, whether am I buying got shopping mall, is there a what do you call it, a hawker center, a coffee shop, that kind of things are very much our own criteria. But if today you already know all these criteria, so it's not difficult for you to find a property to purchase, to be honest. You actually also do not need any agents, agree? Because you can just find your own, because these are your set of criteria. So one of the things that we do in our consults is to provide you a different perspective and see how we can actually guide you through in your property journey. So one of the key things that I always share is that today you know where you are right now. Perhaps you staying in a HDB or condo, and you potentially also have an idea where you want to be in future, correct? But a lot of us, we may be stuck in this situation because we do not know what to do and we do not know how to do it. And the reason why is because there is a big gap here, a big knowledge gap. You have this desire, you have this dream list that you want to go forward to, but there's always still certain fears, certain concerns that you are worried that you're going to make mistakes. So with this gap, then you stop doing what you want. And this is why a lot of homeowners kind of miss on certain opportunities out there because of the lack of knowledge. So our job here is to help you bridge this knowledge gap. So you will have three things. The first thing is you will have more time with us. Why? Because we are the one putting in the time to help you navigate and facilitate your process. The second thing that you will have is the access into data. Very important. And the third thing is resources. So with all these three things, potentially you are able to make a better decisions in terms of your own property journey. And this is also what I saw in a lot of homeowners going for new launches. Many of them, they have done very surface research. And only just yesterday, I also have somebody who just contacted us, and they already bought a certain property and they kind of regretted, like, why did they even buy this property? And did they buy a right size? Did they buy a right price? And during that, formal situation, pressure cooker situation, a lot of people just start going into it because they already queue so long, even though their ballot number may not be the best, and then they just buy something only to what? Regret later on. So this is something that I always believe. If you have not followed me on my other videos, you can go through it and understand actually there's more than just one or two set of criteria to buy property. So you can also scan the QR code if today you are looking at some of all these new launches and you want to make a better informed decisions. You can actually scan the QR code, reach out to us, and we'll be able to help you out because there's a lot of launches coming out soon, especially also in the what? CCR region. And CCR is a very exciting and interesting area where not everybody knows how to navigate this. And one of the strengths that we have is that we are very much involved also in the CCR region. You know, we have our teammates who has been in the CCR region for the past 20 over years to navigate all these doubts and questions. So when we are entering into the CCR market, we have a better direction and better clarity as well. So today my role is not to guide you through to look at property just from your lens, not from your perspective only. You also need to take a step back, you know, understand more from our perspective, and that will be able to help you make better informed decisions in future. And that's why I always share in my community that, hey, we are all home investors. Why? Because we are always looking for property that we can potentially stay in, and we can also grow and elevate our assets at the same time. So no longer will you need to look at yourself as a homeowner, or I'm an investor. So let's combine this together and become a home investor. So I think one of the key things that I shared, because of these three things, time, resources, and access, many of us, when we look into properties, we may tend to base our own knowledge, our own experience, or maybe you hear say other people are doing it on papers and everywhere, and you have a set of mindset that you already decided this is the way you want to go. Like I said, we're not here to challenge you that, hey, you are wrong lah. How can you think this way? No, it's not that way. Okay, everybody is entitled for your own opinions. But if there is a set of research helping you to navigate your way, okay, to support certain some of our thoughts process that you have, would it help you will it help you to make a better decision, and will you be more confident of your own decision? So I just want to give you a quick overview. Like, let's say today you have a $1.5 million budget, and you're looking to buy whether it's A or B property. Which one will you choose? You all can just type in your answers inside the comment, A or B. Okay, because this has everything to do with what I'm going to share with you, my mistakes when I buy my property, and what you must learn so that you can avoid it totally. All right, so you must stay all the way to the end of the video, because I'm going to share with you my exact process of what went wrong. Okay, what did we do in the process of searching for this property? What are the actual steps that we did that it makes totally number sense? And what happened later on that because of one miscalculation, we make that mistakes. Okay, so let's say today, right now, you have a choice of 1.5 million, and you have a choice to choose between A, which is a freehold property, and you are within 1 km to the MRT, or will you choose B, which is a leasehold property, and you're more than 1 km to the MRT? So there's no right or wrong answers here. All right, I want you all to kind of participate in this and just put in your answers in the comment. And I will share with you that how we make decisions like this is really through data and understanding. Okay, so for example, right now, I'm just want to pull out certain live data to determine, let's say if today I have $1.5 million property, on an overview, where should I be looking at? Because if you are not even looking at the right direction, then your entire journey and time is all wasted. So we want to use ProTrend as a guideline to kind of fit in the criteria that we have that we wanted to go for. And this could be your dream list as well. So we are using platforms and systems like this to help you make better informed decision in a quicker manner, instead of going one whole big round and at the end of the day, it's not what you want. So for example, in this example, we're going to go for a resale property, okay? And because A options, you are going to be near MRT. And when I mean near MRT is within 1 km, which means you're walking distance. And we can even use this to kind of filter off which MRT station you specifically want. So all these things are very dynamic that we use systems to help us and help you make an informed decision. Of course, we can even trigger whether you want primary schools, international schools, or even shopping malls. But for this example, we are not doing it. And as for tenure, this tenure first example for A is going to be a freehold, and the bedroom type is 2. So the objective of why we do this is we just want to have a sense like, okay, actually, will A that is a freehold property and 1 km to MRT actually outperform B, which is a leasehold and away from MRT kind of idea? So I just want to put in, let's say, a minimum unit number of 100, and that's one of the guidelines that we always share. 100 units, anything above 100 units will be helpful. And let's say we're talking about 1.5 million. Okay, 1.5 million. And we also want to make sure that our investment yield is, let's say our rental yield is about 3.5% at the bare minimum. So we put in all these parameters to determine how the how the runway for this type of property is in Singapore. So we can pull out a lot of data, not just only in the different districts. We are able to see the average prices. We are even able to go into very specific projects, and I can actually filter them off based on age, based on number of years, the TOP, and which MRT stations they are. And these are the informations that will churn out that is within 1.5 million, and their rental yield is all above 3.5%. So if today you are looking for, if you are a yield person, you like yield, then this could actually help you to filter off some of the properties immediately. Immediately, you'll be able to know, okay, where should I be looking at? All right. So for this example, I will also want to take a look at the trends of how it has performed over the years. And this gives us a very good indication of how a certain type of properties will be performing. And for this, we can actually drag it all the way to the beginning of data when Singapore introduced information for property, which is 1995. That is old school. Let's not look at so far. Anything before 2013, if you have been following me, is already outdated. All right, so let's just use this as an example. So the blue line is actually A. So let us now plot in B and use the same platforms to understand what is happening. So again, we will type in resale, but this time around for MRT is going to be more than 1 km. All right, so let us just use the same parameter, 1 km to 1 point to 2 km. And the rest of the tenure changes is that this is going to be a leasehold property. Number of bedrooms is still number 2, as well as the number of units. Let's put in also as minimum above 100 units. My maximum price is 1.5 million. And my minimum rental yield that I wanted is at least 3.5 million. So both parameters are, everything is the same, except it's a leasehold and freehold and 1 km within MRT or away from MRT. So again, we will pull out this data to compare side by side. So this gives you a very good overview and a support information whether what you are thinking, what you have in mind, does it make sense? All right, so like I said, this data is really very transparent. Numbers cannot lie. And if you can see, both trends are actually trending upwards. So in this event, how will you make a decision? Should I go for a leasehold? Should I go for a freehold? That kind of manner. So using data like this, it gives us a good filter process. It helps us to narrow down our thinking thoughts and our thinking process as well to help us move forward. So for example, let's say we talk about the freehold and within 1 km to MRT. And let's not look at too far away. Let's just look at the last 10 years. So let's just pull information from 2014 to 2024 for the last 10 years. You can see that the average growth of a freehold property that is within 1 km to MRT have grown about 30% over the last 10 years. All right, so reasonably comfortable in terms of your average. Of course, this one is the entire Singapore we are combining. Do take note that every different locations, different projects, different estates, different districts, different regions do have their own set of data that we will dive in deeper. So this is more of an overview in Singapore. Let us look at the B option. If you have chosen B, then this is your result from 2014 to 2024. For the last 10 years, it goes to almost 50%. So 29.12% versus 49.51%. The numbers don't lie, my friend. So it's a very, very straightforward indicator to share with us. If today you are looking to invest in a property for $1.5 million property, and you would like to have the highest property percentage gain, then you know where your choice is. And the reason why I'm sharing with you this is not to say that, wow, you are wrong, that kind of situation. It's not. Is that today, can you imagine if you are deciding on the property and you don't have such data to support your decision making? Will you think that it's going to be more risky for you? So even we ourselves, when we have data like this, when we are doing property, nobody can tell you 100% that you're right. Agree. But what we can do is using research, access into data to lower down our risk as much as possible. And that is the reason why we use this to support a lot of our clients in our consults. All right. So if today you have chosen A or B, like say, nobody is judging you whether it's right or wrong. There's no such stuff. It's about us learning how to make better informed decisions with access to data. Very important. And because today prices are already all-time high, and I always share, the higher it is, the more careful you must be. But unfortunately, in a normal real property world, the higher the prices, the more bogus people go. They anyhow go and buy. They go and buy FOMO, everything. So I always share in a lot of my community, even in my master classes. Today, with prices high, we need to be extra careful to lower down our risk as much as possible. Because everything turned around very quickly overnight. Okay, for a while it was high interest rates, economy was not doing good, and then overnight, within a month, everything changes. Oh, our new launches are selling so much better, and buyers are sweeping up the properties. Even for Emerald Katong and Chuan Park, this was the kind of craze that was happening when we have 6 launches during that weekend. And of course, during then, there's a lot of movements and noises about elections coming, and there were also a lot of information about private property ending the year on a high, and that did not stop because continuing for Ori, Megahertz, the performance are very, very healthy. So if any one of you are listening in and you have gotten one of these few projects, congratulations on your purchase. I hope you have done your research well. I hope you have done your numbers and your objective properly before you even execute. And after this, of course, we have recently just the Alta and Parktown residences that has also achieved very high volume purchases result. So of course, the one thing that you'll be thinking of is actually who's buying, okay? And very importantly is there's a lot of misconception in the marketplace. There's a lot of the understanding is incorrect. So that is also one of the reasons after so many years, I finally decided to do this. Okay, and with the encouragement from a lot of friends, a lot of clients, as well as you supporting the channel, has been reaching out to me and says that, Coach Edmund, I enjoy your videos a lot, all the learnings, and they would want me to run master classes live. Okay, so I've been doing this online a lot, and so yes, I've been pondering this for the longest time. But with the encouragement from so many of you all, I decided, okay, to do this, to run a one evening session, okay, on property. And not only that, I always like to add value. So I will also be introducing another speaker in this session. And we are going to cover quite a fair bit, meaning we're going to talk about what is happening in the next property cycle for the next 5 years to 10 years. And at the same time, if let's say today you are looking into entering the market, which region would you want to explore into? And I have specially invited one very professional, a very experienced, 20 over years, who has been handling the CCR market to give us a glimpse of what is happening in today's marketplace. That is the CCR market too hot? Is it underpriced? Is it overpriced? And with that, it gives us a very good indicator to help us navigate our journey later on. And of course, this is a live event. Like I said, I'm not here to make money out of seminars and all that. That's not my business. Okay. But I believe there's a lot of homeowners out there. You all do need certain guidance, certain knowledge to move forward in your property plan, to basically get a very clear understanding of where the market is heading to, and then we will move forward. And I have a lot of surprises for those who are coming to attend this live. The date is on the 16th April. Okay, and of course, ignore the fees. All right, we're not charging 168 per person. On the other hand, we are actually, you can scan the QR code and type in 88. All right. So instead of per person 168, we are only collecting $88 for two persons. So you and your spouse can attend together at the price of $88. The amount that we're collecting is really not for us. Okay, it's just for the booking of the room, and also we are going to donate all the proceeds after deducting the cost all to charity. So like I say, we are not here to make any money out of it, but to continue support you in my community and others. So if you know of anyone who is kind of in need of property knowledge or to help you all make a certain decisions, do scan the QR code or forward this QR code to them. Just type in 88 and I'll see you live on the live session moving forward. All right, so great. So of course, when all this information of property prices heading up all-time high, there's always this risk that government is coming in with cooling measures. So what do you all think? Do you all think cooling measures is coming in? Come share in the comment below. Will you think that cooling measures are approaching? Is it approaching? Is very important. All right. So I will share with you from a data-driven approach. How do we see things? From a fear perspective, it's very common. We are always very fearful. And this is also one of the reasons later on when I share with you my own case studies, what kind of mistake I made, right? You will know exactly, are you also feeling the same way? Okay, because a lot of times property, it is because of the emotional aspect that make us confused. All right. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult to be logical about it because a property, well, I like to stay inside. You know, there's a lot of other emotional, personal factors involved. So I do understand totally. It's never easy to go into the property market with a very logical sound of mind. Okay. And I share with you later on what happened also. And because of this, let me share with you my thought process after my research, right? Is I don't see cooling measures coming in. And I'm very boldly share with you because a lot of people are saying that they're using it to draw you, oh, cooling measures coming, you should do things first. I personally, after my research, my own opinion is it will not happen. And I just based on just one criteria, one factor. Of course, there are a lot of other things that we look at, but just based on this one factor, right, you can see that even though it seems that the market is heated up, new launches are being sold at all-time high. Prices are going up. There's a lot of people buying property. You know, this kind are all signs for cooling measures. But for the government, what they are always trying to do is not to crash the market. They're always trying to maintain it so that it gradually goes up, not a very spike up and down kind of situation. So if we look at over the period of 2024, right, we are only about 3.9% in general. So that is the price index of growth. Versus previously in 2021, it has actually came down thanks to some of the cooling measures that has impacted the market briefly. So this is the number of about 3%, which is a very safe number. So what are the indicators that government has? And of course, after studying for so many years of property, how the market trends is, as long as the price index do not cross double digit, okay, as long as the price index do not cross double digit, government likely will not introduce any of cooling measures. So at this rate, at 3.9%, do you think government will come in with cooling measures? So you will have cooling measures back in this period, this period, this period, because during that time, the prices are heated up. All right, so these are some of the things that we have seen over the years, and which is why I want to kind of break off this myth that, hey, everybody is using cooling measures as a gauge that, oh, to ask you to quickly buy property. You shouldn't buy property because you fear the cooling measures coming in. I don't think that's the right foundation to look at. All right, let's go back to fundamentals. When you buy a property, regardless of the market conditions, you should be able to look at it from a different lens. And I'm going to share with you why I say so in my own case study later on. Why? Because that is how I determine to enter the market. Okay, and this is my own case study. Very important. So who is buying? Definitely not the foreigners. Also, a lot of people are always sharing, oh, the foreigners are the one buying property. But for the longest time, if we just talk about from 2014 onwards, you can see that the number of foreigners buying property is actually very little. And of course, it has already keep dropping over the years. due to the last cooling measures, which is 60% for foreigners. Of course, the foreigner numbers will drop, but generally, who is still the one in the market buying and selling? Singaporeans and PR. So you and I, we are all playing merry-go-round. You sell to me, I sell to you, that kind of arrangement. So that's why when we have a very clear market, we know where the demand comes in, it allowed us to plan our property journey better. So everything is very strategic. All right. So how many of you are already learning something so far? Just type in the comment, learning and or not. You can actually subscribe to the channel and continue to join us in our future videos. Remember to put the notification bell because the notification bell will alert you whenever we have new videos out. And I always try to have one video per week. Okay, one video per week, as much as I can. Even with all the consults going on, family time, that kind of situations. So help me out, all right? Put in the subscribe to it, and also let me know what kind of videos you would like me to actually produce for you so that we can do more research, more in-depth to share with you a little bit more in-depth details. Okay, so I'm going to share with you exactly how we do it. And I want to bring you all back into the past, back in 2018. Okay, so of course, when you put yourself back in time machine to 2018, remember you do not know what happened from 2019 until today. You do not know. But during 2018, I want every one of you to put on the cap that, hey, now I'm back in 2018. What is your thought process? And I want you all to go through this experience with me. All right. Thank you so much for everyone. All right. So during 2018, first of all, we must acknowledge that that period price index is actually very high. Okay. Price index was very high. How high? It was negative period, then it went positive. Okay, it went positive period. So if you can see that here, when all the numbers turn up, right, it slowly increases the price index, which means it becomes this kind of movement going up. Okay, and it went up 9.6% during that period. Okay, for over this period, 9.6%. So if I pull out what you can see today and versus last time, you can see how drastic the numbers are. So let us just pull up 2018. 2018 is 7.9%. Okay, so price index versus the rest of it, you can see is actually, it went up very high. And after 2018, things came down a little bit more until 2021 when COVID situation happens and then it kicks up again. So during 2018, actually, you do not know all this information. Price index is high. So when price index is high, it usually what? It pushes buyers to what? Not do anything. Okay, you don't want to do anything. So this is the first thing that you must acknowledge. The second thing that you must acknowledge is during 2018 time, there was this famous China and US trade wars, which we are also experiencing right now. But this time around, it's not only China. There's so many different countries. So the number one worry you have is, alamak, recession coming in, trade wars coming in. It's very common because human beings, we tend to look at the fear first. Okay, we always look at the fear and the worries first. Very common. But I share with you, if today you are in 2018 time, price index was high, trade wars was going on, economy was not doing well, there is a worry and fear of recession, will you dare to do anything about property? Very, very normal, very normal answers. But that's not the only thing. During that time, interest rates was high. Okay, it already went up. Interest rate was high. Of course, now it's higher, but during then it already went up, you see. So then, wow, don't know whether should I go for a high interest rate. Better I stop and wait. And not only that, our inflation was at 1.9% during that. So all these are the real time situation that when you're back in 2018, that is how every single one of us will experience. So that is what it sets off those who knows property and those who lack the knowledge in property to make that informed decision. Okay. So during that period also, because of the prices increases, ABSD kicks in. Okay, ABSD kicks in, there's cooling measures, and when this kind of noises going on, what will you do? Will you act on it or will you not act on it? Okay, let's be truthful to yourself. We're not here to judge anybody, but I believe majority of the people will not dare to do anything during that moment. So question, whatever I share with you, is it very familiar? Because all the uncertainty, worries, concern, all these things starts coming in, and you have doubts and you have questions, you have wondering, price so high already, why should I still go into property? Interest rate so high already, isn't my mortgage going to be very, very high? So I share with you, these are very common concerns that you have as a homeowner. Okay, very, very common. But at the same time, if you keep looking in this aspect, you could be missing out on different opportunities. And that's why whenever we guide our clients in our consults, we are always going back to the fundamentals. Okay, the objective. What's the timeline? Do you have the financial ability to hold on to this property? Ultimately, it's still about holding on to this property. And because of all these kind of noises, a lot of people do miss out on different projects that potentially, when they look back, they realize, hey, those projects are quite good. So if today you are kind of pinpointing some of these future projects for your own purchase, right? You may want to scan the QR code so that we can provide you a second opinion to see whether some of all these launches ideal for you. And with CCR coming out with so many different projects, is it wise for you to actually enter in? So one of the key indicator I want to share with you all, how we did our research back in 2018 was based on this one of the factors. This is not the only factors we look at, but I want to share with you this one factor that is very important, which is the supply situation. Okay, so this is very common understanding. All right, when there's a lot of supply in the marketplace, prices will what? Will tend to go up. Okay, sorry. When there's a lot of supply, the prices will tend to come down. Sorry. All right. So when there's not enough supply, prices eventually will go up. Correct. So that is the top percent. So if today what we have in 2018 was we did deeper research into the supply situation in Singapore. So one of the criteria we look at is definitely supply and demand. So when we look at supply, right, what we realized was that the supply numbers are coming down over the years. So this is the first indicator. So when we know that the supply situation is coming down, what will happen to price eventually? Okay, eventually prices will go up. But this is what we understand for logic, correct? But during that time, when you were in 2017, 2018, which is when I entered into the property market, there was all these noises going on. Prices very high. There's an oversupply because you can see there's a lot of supply there. There's a lot of supply and cooling measures was in. Interest rate was high. So there's all these noises. Trade wars was going on, and then you worry. But even though the facts share with you that hey, supply is coming down means prices is going up. So this is a very counterintuitive situation. Sometimes when we experience it in the marketplace versus what we see from a facts perspective, we sway lah. Okay, we sway ourselves to accept our own emotion. All right, so this is why many a times I always believe if homeowners know how to make decisions in property, then everybody what already? Everybody fatak. The reason why is because most homeowners do not know how to make a proper decision. And that's the reason why when you have experienced consultants like us to guide you through who are also doing it and we are experiencing, we are relevant in the marketplace, we can guide you through some of the mistakes and how should we navigate through this. And later on, I will be sharing with you I won't call it a regret, but I could have done better. I could have done better. Okay, let's say. So back in 2018, because we understand the supply situation, one of the indicator, right, we move into the market. And that's when we do more research. We start doing more research into, okay, should we enter into the property market? Remember, all these noises, all these fears are still there. I'm also a human being. Whatever I'm doing is the same as you. But the difference is I use data and access into all this information to support what the market is telling me. Okay, so that's how we are able to guide you. So during then, right, in 2018, this is the rough estimate prices in the different region. Okay, for the OCR, it's at 1,004. Wow, now you look back, 1,004, now where got 1,004? Yeah, lor, correct, lor. RCR, 2,000. CCR, 3,005. And this is back in what? 2018, remember. So during that time when we were doing our research, right, we start compiling a lot of data out. And these are what we've been doing on a daily basis. Our role is really into property. I don't have other form of investments. Everything is in property. That's why I breathe, I eat, I sleep, I go toilet, also property. So, and most importantly is my money is also in the property market. Okay, so that is a very different. So a lot of people may tell you what to do, how to do, but you ask them, have you when is the last time you invested in property? You know, was it 10 years ago? Okay, ours very recent, as early as 2024, and this year we are also re-entering the marketplace. So we are very current in what is happening to better advise you on how the strategy is going to be. So during that time, we were looking at some of the OCR prices. So remember, these are all prices back in 2018. So now looking back, you'll be like, wow, 早知道, you know, I should have done something. But again, nobody can guide you if you don't want to do anything. So one of the key things that we look at is we always look at how the prices are like. So the first segment here, you can see, okay, let me use a different color. Here is potentially the prices that the developer had bought the land. Okay. And the second segment, okay, let's just use a different way. Okay. So the first one is land price. Then we will calculate what's the estimated break-even price based on adding on marketing, construction costs, labor costs, taxes to government, etc., etc. So we will be able to determine what's the average break-even price. And the third one is more of a what's their estimated selling price. So this can range from 15% to even 40%, which we have seen before. And this the selling price can adjust because we don't know when are they going to launch for most of the units. So during that time when we were looking at it, we realized that hey, today for some of the properties out there, this range during that time for OCR are already crossing the 2,000 mark. Can you see? Already crossing the 2,000 mark. And for the lithium, you are near Bartley MRT. For Yunus Mansion, you cannot even walk to the MRT. And Gazania, it was near Bartley MRT. So why Yunus Mansion? Because we don't know the name of the project yet. So during then, so we have to do with what we can based on our research to compile a list to determine, hey, today for freehold properties in the OCR market, actually in 2018, already crossing $1,900 to $2,000 per square foot. So today, if you're experiencing 2,000 per square foot, actually it's not surprising. It's just that you may not be in the market to know which segment actually prices has already increased. So why I want to show you OCR, because when we are doing comparison for prices and to see whether this particular property is worth for us to even look into it, we cannot just study that project. We have to study the entire Singapore prices and how the market moves. So then we start looking at the OCR area, pardon the color and everything, right? So then what we realized was for OCR in Serangoon, okay, they are already transacting about 1,004 to 1,005 per square foot. This is Serangoon, okay, all the prices. And even Kingsford Waterway being a resale already transacted at $1,480. OCR, these are all OCR. And the launch, these are all resale. The Serangoon and Kingsford are all resale, 1,004 to 1,005 per square foot. And OCR in Bokok MRT, of course, this one was Sengkang Grand. It was an integrated property. They are intending to launch about 1,006 plus per square foot. During then, all these projects are not launched yet. So we do not have the actual launch price back in 2018. So you must know we are projecting what's going to happen, and then we use it as part of our research. So then when we start looking at OCR, we know, okay, this is the base prices. Resales are hovering for 1,004 to 1,005, and new launches are going about 1,006 during that. Then we start going nearer to town to take a look. And that's how we look at prices. So in nearer to town in RCR, we realize prices for the freehold are already at $2,500 plus per square foot. And this is the estimated prices. So we look at the new launches prices to benchmark. And when we start looking at it, we look at today based on these are freehold properties, how much are the leasehold properties calling? So the leasehold property will be about $1,700 to $2,000 per square foot. And the city fringe resale properties had already transacted over 2,000. But because this is Paya Lebar Park Place, it's very convenient, semi-integrated, you know, that kind of arrangement. So that's why it's worth for them to actually command $2,000 per square foot. So during then, when we were looking at where to purchase, or we use 5 strict criteria to look at, okay, in our consults for our own properties as well as for our clients' property. Very strict 5 criteria. And there's one key criteria that we always look at is we always want to look at urban planning. Okay, there are different urban planning spots that we should look at before we go in. So when we were looking at it, the number one criteria, a few criteria if you ask me, one of the key location that we go in was in the Potong Pasir Woodley area. Well, some of you may be very familiar. Some of you may have done your research before during then, or even now, you may be looking at properties around this location. So this is not a new location. But one of the factor why we chose this location at the end of the day was after looking into the data, looking numbers, we look at number one. Okay, this is something that you all want to write down. Okay, so that you can plan your purchase and plan your research a little bit better. Number one, you want to look into growth area. Okay, growth area doesn't mean that you have 2 to 3 new projects or new land coming up. That's called growth. Your property, or should I say another condo that is going to be launching, or maybe there's parcels of land opening, it doesn't translate to full growth potential. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing you can also look into to have a more assurance of growth is a new township. New township means what? Moving forward, are they going to be HDBs? Are they going to be transportations? Are they going to be shopping mall around that new township that they're going to build up? So some examples that the new townships are coming up is, of course, Tengah, a very clear cut. Paya Lebar Air Base is going to be turned into a new township as well. Bayshore is also upcoming. But of course, all this, the number of years is quite long, or it's not going to be so fast into new townships. So then that's where we will need to make a decision. Do we go into those locations and wait? Or you prefer to go to somewhere that already are a little bit more matured, but you pay premium for it? So this is where our role comes in to guide you through the process. The third thing you must always understand is infrastructures. The area that you intend to go in must have infrastructures going on already. If it's not, then you're at a very, very early stage in terms of your of the growth potentials. So we always have to ask ourselves, do we go into a very super undeveloped area or a matured area? All right, so this is where we need to go through with you a little bit more. So when we go into the Woodley and Potong Pasir area, is it considered fully matured in 2018? Actually, it's not. Okay, I wouldn't say that we are at the beginning end. We are also not at the tail end. So we're kind of in between kind of positioning. And this is also, there's a lesser risk because things are already there, but things has not kind of completed in terms of the transformation, in terms of the growth potential. So when we study this, right, of course, if during that time you are in the market, you will already know there are basically 3 projects going on during then. Of course, there's a ton of resale properties out there. Okay, and later on, we will do the comparison. How did we find this property that it makes sense for us to enter? And I'm going to share with you this exact thing. And all these slides that I share with you is our research back in 2018. It's our research back in 2018. I did not change anything. I pulled out the same slides to share with you all today so that you can see what we have done previously. So what we did, the first thing was to look into the new launches and we start comparing the prices during that. This is then. Well, now you look at the prices, you're like, wow, so cheap. Okay, common reaction. So the first thing that we look at is the integrated property. Okay, integrated property, Woodley residences during that time, when you're looking at $2,000 per square foot already. Okay, it was hovering about 9,009 to 2,000 depending on which facing and which side. So for those who bought Woodley residences in 2018, chances are if they want to sell in the next 3 to 4 years or even 5 years, they will need to sell about $2,300 per square foot. Agree? Then the next one that is the closest to it is Park Colonial, which is opposite Woodley residences. You are not integrated. You have to walk the path, but there's an underground tunnel that you can go straight to the MRT. During that time, the 2-bedroom, we are using 2-bedroom as a guideline because I bought a 2-bedroom for investment. So we are only using 2-bedroom as a benchmark, right? During that time, it was already at $1,900 per square foot, okay, at 1.29 million. So if you look at this, because of the MRT effect, people willing to pay 1.29 million, and already when they want to sell in time to come, will they sell about $2,200 per square foot? Fair lah. Or because Woodley is directly integrated, then Park Colonial is what? Is further away, of course, you cannot charge the same price. So the so-called hidden gem that we went for was Trevor actually. All right, why? Because you can see that purchase was about $1,600 per square foot, and this was on the higher floor. And reasonably today is all about your entry and your exit strategy. Today, a lot of people are always buying with emotions and they don't mind paying more for some of all these factors, which is very reasonable, very understandable. Because I want the MRT, I want this, I want that. Then I don't mind to pay more because for the convenience that I have. But if you're looking at purely from a logical data-driven approach, then you also have to be very careful about your entry price as well as your exit strategy. Okay, you have to be absolute. So why do I say that? Because out of these three properties, if you want to talk about the cheapest property, it will definitely be Trevor. Okay, not that cheap property cannot buy, cheaper property cannot buy, or I should just go for the more expensive one. But you need to understand for Trevor, why is it such a lack? There's a lack of factor because of the MRT. Okay, you're almost 7 to 8 minutes walk to the MRT, partly sheltered, not all the way, and it's all the way at the end of it where the Kallang Basin River is. So it's a different product altogether. But if you talk about from a layman perspective, they all want the MRT or they want the school kind of effect. Very common. So of course, with those there, then you need to prepare to pay a little bit more premium. So out of these three projects during them, we are just basing on our entry prices. So one indicator you all can also write this down is that today, I just want to make sure that my entry is lower than others. Why lower is better? Lower means my capital outlay is lesser. I don't put myself in a very high risk. But yet at the same time, there's also another question that you may be asking. Those further away from MRT, can they still grow in value over time? Correct. So just now from the example that I shared with you all can determine how we actually did our research, not just based on the MRT or the schools are your deciding factor. There's so many different criteria we should look. So this is a comparison of prices. So I just look at prices perspective, which means Trevor being the lower entry, which means I do not need to sell at $2,300 per square foot. I do not need to sell at $2,200 per square foot. I only need to sell about $1,900 per square foot, and I can exit my property. And my 1,900 is still cheaper than what Woodley residence buyers bought and lower than what Park Colonial buyers bought for. So I'm in a very safe zone in this situation. All right. So then we start comparing this to what? To the surrounding resale. Today, I can be one of the cheapest, or should I say the most valued or very safe property in Potong Pasir out of these three new launches. But I also need to compare it to what? The resale nearby. How are the nearby resales going on? This is where we did the next set of study. Okay, this is how we do the next set of study. We just take note, Trevor is a new property. Okay, new that means just launched those 0 years. And then we start comparing some of the similar traits of properties. So one of the mistakes I also realize a lot of homeowners do is they do the wrong comparison. Yes, they are trying to compare, but they do wrong comparison. They take a smaller development to compare with this, or they take a too big development to compare. So you must certainly find properties that has similar traits, and they cannot be like 20 years property to compare to your current new property. Of course, the older one will be so much cheaper, ma. So you must always try to compare apple to apple. You cannot do it 100% definitely, but we try to match as close traits as possible. So understand today Trevor is 7 minutes walk to MRT, and to Potong Pasir MRT, which means Poise, which is integrated property. All right. Back in 2018, during that time as a resale, these are all resale prices, which means the units during that time we are able to pull out actual transacted prices. So for their 2 bedrooms, they are already hovering at $1,500 to $1,700 per square foot, depending on floor level. Okay, 1,700 plus really. So can you see for a higher floor unit, $1,755 per square foot. And the Trevor that we look at, this is also on a high floor. Can you see a difference in terms of per square foot? So we start comparing and determine whether which property, whether it's a resale or a new launch, does it make sense for us to enter? So when we are doing the research for our clients, there's a lot of reputation, there's a lot of criteria, there's a lot of options that we look at. Then, of course, there's the venue. Venue is across the road. It's also so-called semi-integrated because there's food and everything, but no MRT only lah, but food. So it's a mixed development. So the venue already 2 years old during then. Their low floor unit is already 1,500 plus per square foot. So you can gauge that, actually for lower floor units, they should be hovering about 1,500 plus per square foot. The higher floors one are at least 1,700 onwards. Cindior residences, also a older property, already 3 years, sorry, this one is 1 year old, this one is 2 years old. You can see their floor unit, Cindior residences, even though it's opposite Potong Pasir, but the layout is a little different now of Cindior. That's why you can see the prices are hovering about 1,500 plus per square foot. There's also another smaller development, St. Reed's, 2016, also about 2 years, falling about $1,600 per square foot. And Nin Residences, also a smaller development, 2014. All right, so this is already 4 years old at $1,400 per square foot. So when you start looking at this, you can start comparing the resale and the new launches. And that's where you determine a resale based on the age, based on the condition, everything. Does it match up for me to pay that differential prices to the new launches? Okay, it doesn't mean that you must always go for cheap properties. It also doesn't mean that you must always go for new launch property. It must always see what's the price gap going to be. Does this price gap justify the differences? So for example, if you look at Park Colonial and Woodleigh, then the question I will ask you is, based on $1,600 per square foot versus $1,900 per square foot or $2,000 per square foot, you are paying almost $300 to $400 per square foot difference for that 7 minutes walk. Can justify or not? Will you pay more, or will you pay more for the 7 minutes walk to MRT, or will you not? So during our private consults, that's where we will help you to make clear of your decision-making process. So how do we look at safe entry? So we already acknowledged, just now I shared with you all the numbers. New launch prices are going to be definitely over $2,000 because a lot of the units are already hovering 1,800 to 1,900. So the Woodleigh residences right now is at about $2,000 per square foot. Park Colonial is a little bit lower, one street away. And the youngest resale property in the entire region is already hovering about $1,500 to $1,700 per square foot. The younger one, 5 years old, because I have to calculate based on what your TOP, your building and construction timing as well, right? So by then, the youngest property will be 3 years already. The younger property will be 5 years and about 1,500. The oldest, which is 7 years, by then will be $1,400 per square foot. So today, based on this, when we go into River, you are not at the highest peak because you have certain support prices during then. And by the time this property goes to third year, you can determine everything plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So your entry in terms of 1,600 plus is justifiable for us to look into because there's various support prices out there that today I'm not entering at the highest because I just want to go for new property. But compared to resale, you have a better, what do you call it, advantage among others because being new, there's a lot of other facilities that could also be more modern. Your pool is not the normal mosaic tiles pool. So these are all factors that why when we are looking at property selection, we are very careful in looking into all these data and numbers. And this is exactly when we bought the property, but this one we went to buy a lower floor unit. Okay, we went to buy a low floor unit in 2018. A lot of people say, oh, why you buy low floor? Why you buy the number 4? Can make money, man. You know, that kind of thing. But I share with you, it's not about all this. It's really about your entry price and how you study and do comparisons. And so we bought this property at 1.059 million, even though with all the very big concerns about market, all these conditions. And in 2022, we exited this property at 1.28 million. Okay. So this is where I want to share with you. Not everything is rosy. Okay, not everything is rosy because I also make certain mistakes. Okay, let me share with you very clearly. Yes, this property has yield in terms of profits. It has elevated my assets from 1.05 million to 1.28 million. Okay, but what actually is the mistake that potentially we did not see. So I'm sure many of you are aware that today when you are selling a new property, there's two levels. One is called the sub-sale, and then the other one is called resale. So you resale usually is after CSC, then they will consider it as resale. But anything that falls within the 4 years that you haven't sold is considered sub-sale. Okay, so we sold this property in 2022 as a sub-sale. Okay, as a sub-sale. So there are some homeowners also did ask me that if I buy a new property, should I sell on TOP? Or should I sell before TOP? Or should I wait for 1 year after that to sell for TOP? So these are all the questions, and you're going to learn a lot from my mistakes. Okay, so I'll share with you what are the key differences. Okay, what are the pros and cons if you are deciding whether you should do a sub-sale or resale. So for resale, when you want to start, okay, let's just use A and B lah. Okay, so when you want to start for sub-sale, meaning upon your maybe your SSD and you want to kind of sell it off, there are also two stages of sub-sale you must be careful about. One, the sub-sale has it TOP already? Or maybe your SSD is up, but it's not TOP yet. So this is what happened for Trevor because of COVID. It drags on a little bit 1 year. So which means our SSD is over already, but it has yet to TOP. Okay, that's our situation. And what did we do? We sell it before TOP. Okay, we sold the unit before TOP. And why did we do that? Okay, I'll share with you the thought process. First, lesser competition, because most homeowners will only sell when they collect the key, that they see the everything, then they start selling it. So we will have a first mover advantage first. But on the flip side, you are also selling with plan as a sub-sale. So will a lot of buyers be able to accept buying it when it's so close to the TOP? So of course, we won't know when the TOP is, unfortunately, but we know that, hey, this is the right time. We want to exit it because we based on very key criteria. First, property already increased in value. Second, we have other plans that we want to re-enter the market based on how we study the property movement. Okay, so this is very important. The second point. Why is this important? Because a lot of us, we would like to, once our property already increased in value, we tend to hold on to it. Okay, hold on to it. But our strategy is always using asset building strategy. Later on, I'll give you all a glimpse and see whether maybe some of you can look into it. We want to take out our profits and capital to reinvest it again, okay, as quickly as possible, so that because our age also increases every other year. So the sub-sale situation, the problem is people cannot visualize. They want to see, touch, feel, smell, but it's not ready. So you have to buy off on plan, just like how you buy a new property. So it all boils down to one thing, which is your pricing. How do you price your property during then to sell with no viewing? Okay, with no viewing. All right. So this was also after COVID, just after COVID. So things have yet to pick up yet. Okay, I share with you openly. Nobody knows COVID is going to happen. Nobody knows that what COVID entitles for in terms of the price movement. We all don't know anything. So during 2022, we just move forward. We just move forward. And why did I still sell it? Okay, why did I still sell it? So later on, we'll kind of go through and look at the numbers also. So this is the sub-sale situation. Then resale means after the CSC, you may rent it out for 1 year and then you start selling it. The buyers can see and touch and feel. But also during that time, when you start looking at selling, there will also be more people looking to sell. So there are a few projects currently, there are smaller 1+ study are all stuck. Okay, no movement at all. No, I wouldn't say no movement, very minimum movement, because there's just too many. Okay, just too many 1+ studies. And I think the last round I was calculating is almost 35% of 1+ study units in that one development, 35%, and the project is not small. So you can go and calculate if it's 35%, how many units are there. So this is also the flip side of resale. All right, you have more competition, which means when you have more competitions, and you have the ability to hold on to your price? You still need to mortgage pay it, and you need to top it up. There's going to be too stretching on you. That's why sometimes in resale market, you see a lot of more prices fluctuations. Okay, a lot of prices, because everybody worried, oh, this one never sell, that one never sell. I reduce my price. So when one reduce price, the other start reducing price, then it becomes a price war situation. Also, you need to be very careful. So what mistake did I make? So first, I don't know the TOP is only going to be 3 to 4 months later. Okay, so this one my bad because I did not track. To be honest, we did not track because why? Because too busy with consult with clients also lah. So sometimes our investment we buy already, we just put it there because we know that it's already a very safe product. But we missed out the timeline check on the TOP. Why I say that? Because if we would have waited TOP, which is maybe about 3 to 4 months later, my 1.28 would have pocketed additional maybe about 30,000 to 40,000. Okay, so this is the first mistake. So always track your progress if you have plans in your property journey that you wanted to do more things. All right, so that's mistake number one. So 30, 40,000, okay, it's not say a lot, but it's still money. It adds on to your equity, it adds on to your sales, it adds on to that you have extra amount for the next property. All right, so of course, losing this out is painful, but it's not like it's going to go crazy. Oh. The second mistake is something that I believe any one of us we cannot project, we cannot predict, is when I bought this property at such a low entry at 1.05 million, I could easily hold this property without paying much in terms of my monthly mortgage because my entry is low, the amount monthly mortgage is low, my borrowing is low, everything is low. So how if I continue to hold this property until now, it will not break an arm for me. Agree? So everything is very safe. Yeah. So I potentially should have just kept this property for future usage, maybe just to keep it. Then next time, maybe 10 years later for my retirement or whichever, we don't know. And this is also one of the mistakes that I made that uh, we we did not know lah that hey COVID is going to push up the prices, right? How will you know? You also don't know, ma. You see. So if today I have kept this property, let's take a look at the live data. Okay, let's look at live data. So I share with you how what has happened since then. Okay, so let's pull out Trevor. Okay, let's pull out Trevor. So everything is using live data to determine. So if let's say I pull out the dates since the day one when purchased, right? You can see the prices from when purchased to 2022, it went up about 16%. Okay, went up 16%. And if I have just continued kept this property, it had continued to go up another 7%. See, so this extra 7% is how much? Meaning if you buy 1,000 square feet unit, it's also substantial in terms of the numbers, okay, the percentage, because of your size and everything. All right. So it will make us an extra amount if we continue to hold that property from 2018 until 2024. You see. So because of the low money interest, everything is low. I rent it out. I can sleep very soundly. You see. So my risk in financing is very, very low. Okay, my exposure is very, very low. So let us take a look at right now. Okay, let's take a look at how much the 2 bedrooms can sell. So you all know back in 2022, I sold at what? 1.28 million. Ma. So now let us look at 2024. Okay, don't use 2025. Let's just use the recent sales for 2024. Let's just filter it off to 2 bedroom. And you can see, let's just use 2024. Okay, what it can go ranging from 1.36 all the way to 1.462, even to 1.48 million. That's additional at how much? At least 120,000 to 150,000 in just extra 3 years. Not bad lah, not bad lah, correct? So of course, in this situation, do I know prices will increase after that? I also won't know. Do I know COVID is going to help drive the prices up and everyone in Singapore actually increase about 7% more? Nobody can tell. Because in our research, when we look at resale property markets, generally the growth is 1 to 2%. Very rare you can get even 3 to 4%. So the growth we understand after TOP, after 1 to 2 years into the TOP period, the prices will start to slow down a lot more. So COVID did help a lot of homeowners out there. Maybe you are also one of the beneficiary that you gotten out from this additional 7 to 10% growth. So today, if you are staying in Pasir Ris, you are staying in Sembawang, Yishun, Woodlands area, or a little bit more outskirt of mass market, right? Your potential, your property have already increased 20 over percent, more than RCR and CCR, I can tell you. So this is also one decision that you may want to make, that will you want to continue hold on to your property, or you will want to cash out because your property has finally seen daylight in the wrong wood. Okay, so yesterday when I was with my client also was staying in Pasir Ris and reached out suddenly and says that, Edmund, I think it's time. Because 3 years ago, they wanted to do something. They couldn't because prices has not escalated and they were only doing over a 15 years period, only maybe about 12%. So over this 2 3 years, prices went up and he started seeing daylight and he reached out and said that, okay, Edmund, let us run through the numbers. I think it's time. Okay, if not, your property age also gets older and older. So these are some of the things that um, why you have somebody who's experienced enough to guide you through, to show you what potentially is happening. It can help you make a decision. So in the end, why did I still choose to sell? First, we don't know COVID, so that one no need to think. But why is it that even though we understand that upon TOP, you could actually yield a better pricing, we still sell? So end of the day, you must ask yourself, today, how much would a 2 bedroom increase to? Okay. How much would a 2 bedroom value increase? Can it go to 1.5 million? Can it go to 1.6 million? Can it go to 1.7 million? It sure can over time. The question is, how long will it take? Okay. So there is always a certain threshold for certain property prices at a certain timeline. Whether it's a 3 to 5 years horizon, there is a certain benchmark that this property prices, after it reaches here, it will not grow as quick as possible. It's very normal in Singapore. And that's why when we study our property prices and everything, that's how we benchmark it. So then we have to ask ourselves, yes, I can wait 20 years. It will go to this value definitely. But this 20 years, what are you losing out? Are you losing out on your age? Are you losing out on your borrowing ability? Are you losing out on different opportunities out there? You see? So this is very important. So today, yes, I can make that additional 120,000 over the next 3 years. But what are the things I'm missing out on? So end of the day, right, when we choose to sell during that time, one of the key things that you all also must ask yourself, very important, is today, once you sell this property, are you re-entering into the market? Okay, are you entering the market again? Because no point for you to let go of your property that you are enjoying good rental income and you just sell and then you don't know what you want to do. Okay, so always sell with the intention to enter the market. If not, don't do it. Because if you don't enter the market, then you're losing out on different opportunities. And this is exactly why we decided to sell. Because during that time in 2022, we were already projecting how the property market is going to be in the next 3 to 5 years that we potentially can enter in. And this time around, when we enter, we are doing it a little bit differently. Okay, so the concept is the same. The concept is the same. So what we did was, instead of going into a 2 bedroom, okay, because 2 bedroom, there's always a certain threshold. So after that, when we sold this property, we enter into a what? A 3 bedroom. And we increase the asset value. So the 2 bedroom that we bought was about 1.05 million. Okay, immediately after this, we went on to a 3 bedroom that is at least 2.9 million. So we increased our asset value totally. Why? Because during that asset value, when I enter in, can you imagine? Let us just clean this up a little bit so that it's easier for you all to see. So now I have a additional 120,000, which is, okay, let's say 1.4 million. Okay, plus the 3 years lah. So it will be about, let's say, 120,000 more from what I sold. Right? But in this period, it went up about 7%. But because I have already sold my property and I re-entered into a 2.9 million, okay, let's just use 3 million as an easy calculation, a 3 million property. During that same period, it also increases 7%. So 3 million or 7% is how much? Of course, this one is just using basic numbers to just calculate lah. Or let's say 3 million times 7%, 210,000. Same period, by increasing the property value, my percentage, even though the same, I will have a higher return. So this is also what we call opportunity cost versus your holding cost that you need to be very careful about when you are looking into it. So these are some of the very deep analyzing that we do, even for our own property. And yes, the mistakes of us, maybe we can just continue hold on to the property is correct or is incorrect. But at the same time, you may also want to see how you can navigate towards the next objective that you want. You see, because ultimately a two-bedroom threshold, there's always a threshold 1.5 million, 1.6 million, and that's like kind of your maximum threshold. And now looking at this 3 million, it has potential to even go to 3.4 million or even 3.5 million moving forward. So this is what I teach in my master class about asset building strategy. Okay, this is what I teach. And of course, I just give you a quick overview what people usually do. All right, so whatever they buy, they always buy with capital down payment. And then today you must understand you are not paying your full 2 million for this property. You're only paying down 25% down payment and you're leveraging on the loan perspective. So if today the market increases 15%, it's on the entire property value. Okay, it's not just on your 25%. So this one I think quite clear. So usually a lot of homeowners do is when their property increases, they stop here. Okay, they stop here. Whether they are staying or investing, they will just, oh, I made profit already, got tenant pay for me, I just continue to stay and hold on to it. It's not wrong, okay? But today, if you want to elevate your asset quicker in a shorter period of time to tap on the right resources where the market is heading to, what you need to do is to unlock it. Okay, you want to unlock it and do it again, okay, for the next cycle. And this is what a lot of our homeowners are also working with us very closely. And this is also one of the reasons why we are in the market. Because as we are in the market, we stay relevant, we stay current, we know what to do next. Or we are not here to tell you grandfather story 20 years ago, I've done it. Okay, we are telling you very accurate existing strategies that what we are seeing, and that's where we discuss. And ultimately, what's the end game? Because why do we want to unlock? Why do we want to unlock it and do it? Because today, if you continue to hold on to your property, first, your age, older. So every 3 to 4 years, right, you may not realize your loan capability drops at least 300,000 to 400,000. So that is a level of leverage that you lost out immediately by the time you wait. Second, if we are older, which means we need more down payment if we want to buy a bigger unit. We need more down payment, we need bigger loan, which means your income also has to be a substantial amount. Then you also very stressful because, oh, I already, this age, my loan is so big, I'm very worried. And moving forward, we all know in Singapore, property prices has always been going upwards. And that is also a reason why if you look at prices over time, has it ever come down before? Has it ever come down before in the long run? Okay. So one of the criteria that we also help our clients to source out for property is that today, if given a choice, you go and buy 2025 prices, no issue. But what if there's opportunity for you to buy a 2023 to 2024 prices? And what if there's a chance for you to buy a 2021 to 2022 or even 2019 to 2020 or 2017 to 2018 and still able to protect the value to let it have that growth potential? So this is very detailed research that we always do for a lot of our clients. And to understand more about how some of all this is able to guide you as a professional homeowner to enter the market or even to exit the market, I want to really invite every single one of you who are here to join me on this date so that you can actually continue to learn about property. And moving forward, I'm going to run this regularly because I believe the property market movements is too drastic. And if you are not following it closely, you are going to make mistakes. Okay, so the original is actually $168 per person, but we're not going to charge a fee on that. By just scanning the QR code, you just type in 88, you are able to invite your spouse or even one more friend or partner to join in and you only need to pay $88. This amount is not for me, it's purely for the renting of the entire location, as well as the rest of the amount that we collected after minusing all the costs, it goes to charity. Okay, it goes to charity. We're not collecting a single cent. This is a value add that I want to add on to all my communities here, and also for you to invite more others who you know need certain advice or need certain clarity in property. I welcome you all to actually join me in this session at the same time. All right, so with that, I really want you guys to kind of take note of some of these key mistakes that we make. And I'm also going to share with you on my other property journeys that we have done. Some are not as well as what we see, and what are the key components that we should take note of and learn from it. You see, so that is why in this channel, if you have not subscribed to this, do just click on the subscribe button so we can continue to engage. And moving forward, if you have any case studies or maybe certain factors that you want us to share in property, just reach out to us. We will be more than happy to guide you through step by step. All right. So any property tours you want us to do, any property reviews you would like us to dive into a little bit more, you can just put in a comment or reach out through the WhatsApp. Then my team, we will kind of reorganize it and we will prepare and research what we want to share with you. So with that, thank you for tuning in, and I shall see you guys real soon in one way or another. All right, cheers.